Well, hello. Now we're ready for the last portion of One Man's Faith tonight. We're looking at Revelation, and I'm talking now about being taken up, being changed, what we affectionately term as the rapture. Okay, in 1 Corinthians 15, starting with verse 51, it says, "Behold, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed." Okay? We will be changed. We're going to be, in a twinkling of an eye, we're going to become something different. Okay? And he says it'll happen at the last trump. Okay? We'll come back to that in just a second. The second place is 1 Thessalonians 4. And says this in verse 13, "But we do not want you to be uninformed, brethren, about those who are asleep, so that you will not grieve as do the rest of those who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep in Jesus. For this we say to you by the word of the Lord," this is verse 15, "that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God. And the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain will be caught up together," or raptured. Okay, that's what that term means. We will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we shall always be with the Lord. Okay, now we know that sometime we're going to be caught up. Okay, for some reason Paul is trying to help allay the fears of about those who are dead. You know, when will they be with the Lord? Does that mean that when you die, you're there? Well, no. Because we know, and there are other scriptures, I don't want to go into them, that show that when you die, you are in the presence of the Lord. But we and our bodies will be raised up. Okay, it'll be the whole us. That was the difference in Jesus' resurrection than just anybody dying and going to heaven. It wasn't just his spirit that went, his whole body. If you remember correctly, when Jesus died, they went into the tomb and it was empty. There wasn't a dead body lying there. It was gone. And in the same fashion, we will be resurrected the way he was. Paul tells us, I believe it's in Romans, that he was the first. He's the first to be resurrected, and he set it up so that we could be resurrected. So the resurrection is not just what happens at death. At death, your body stays in the ground, your soul, your spirit goes. Okay? When this happens, all of me will be taken up. All of you will be taken up. But what he's saying, listen, the dead will come up too. The dead bodies, those people, they will come up too. Okay? So we'll be caught up in the air. And that's what the rapture means. The term rapture means to be caught up. First the dead, then us. Okay? But at the same time, all right, that will happen. When will it happen? At the trumpet. Okay? Now, you've got to understand, he's talking again, I've got to say this, he's talking again in Hebrew context. Okay? We've got to understand that the trumpet, we've got to understand when the trumpet blast is. Okay? You know, 1 Thessalonians 4:16 says that the Lord himself would descend with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God. And 1 Corinthians 15 says that in a moment and twinkling of an eye at the last trumpet, okay? So there's a specific time that this being taken up is going to occur. It'll be at the last trumpet. Now, you've got to understand Hebrew mindset. That term is associated with the Feast of Trumpets. Okay? It's associated. We can go back and see that. I've shown it to you in past shows that the Feast of Trumpets is associated with the last trumpet blast, because on the day of the Feast of Trumpets, the trumpet is blown 100 times, 99 times in 3 types of rhythm, but the last is called the Great Trumpet. It is one long, loud blast that lasts as long as the person blowing the shofar can hold his breath and let it out. Okay? That's the last trumpet. That occurs at a specific time. Now, there are 3 feasts left. Jesus already fulfilled 4. There are 3 left. Feast of Trumpets, Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay? Those 3 are going to be fulfilled at the last call, or the last trumpet, the trumpet blast. Now, that normally occurs September, October, in that time frame. All right? That occurs on the 1st of Tishri. On the 15th of Tishri is Yom Kippur. And then right after that is the Feast of Tabernacles. And they are associated with what's going to happen at the end. What is interesting is the time frame. The time frame. Because the trumpet blast occurs earlier than the time frame that could be the 7-year period. So, in my opinion, it appears that that trumpet blast will occur before the 7-year period starts. So it's not just pre, in my opinion, it's pre-pre. Why do I say this? I say this because we're not to know when it comes. If it occurs anywhere near or within that 7-year period, then we're going to know when it comes. And we're not to know the day or the hour. So I don't believe it occurs during the 7-year period or after it. It's got to occur before. Okay? Many people say, well, yeah, but we're going to remain on earth because we're no better. You know, the church will go through it. I don't think so. I think if we just look throughout the Bible, you will see that God is going to protect His people, and we are His people. We are Jesus' people. That time period is for those that won't accept Jesus. And throughout Revelation, throughout the time period, He throws out, or He opens the seals. And remember, on the 6th seal, there's a time period of waiting. And throughout those 3 tribulational events, there's a time period God waits. He wants us. He wants the world to come to Him. And so He even gives time. And we're not to be a part of that. Secondly, He says, whatsoever things we ask, believing in faith, we will receive. As long as we are here, as long as we are praying, we can stall off. So He's got to remove us out of the equation so that He can, in a sense, run with what is supposed to happen, as shown in Revelation and Ezekiel. So that trumpet blast is going to occur, I believe, even before the 7-year period. But it's going to occur. Now, if it occurs sometimes during the 7-year period, you know, I'm all right with that, because I believe God's going to protect us anyway. Those wraths are the wraths of the Lamb and the wrath of God, and the church isn't part of that. We are away from that. So you don't want to go through Revelation? Then know who Jesus is. Give your heart to him. Accept him as your Lord. Say to him, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Pray that. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.